one of the greatest responsibilities we as parents, teachers, and community leaders have is to preserve for our children the right to grow and develop into mature adults so that they are better prepared to make the most impactful decisions affecting their lives.
Among the proposed changes, schools will need parental consent for students 15 and under who want to change their names or pronouns, and gender-affirming surgery will be banned for those 17 and under. And as well, some athletes will be banned from competing in some sporting events. Diversity and inclusion advocates are condemning the changes.
I can't even begin to imagine what this will do to those children who need that care. There will be children, there'll be youth, there will be people who will die because of this. And the blood is on the hands of this government.
Advocates say trans youth should have been part of the consultations. The Alberta Teachers Association also says it wasn't consulted. So again, we're watching Edmonton today. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is expected to speak this afternoon at 3:30 Eastern, 1:30 Mountain. CTV News Channel will bring that to you live. Now, groups opposed to the new measures say they plan to challenge them in court, arguing the policies violate the Constitution. For more on this, I want to bring in Bennett Jensen, Co-Counsel for UR Pride and Director of Legal at EGAL Canada. Hello, thank you so much for being with us this morning, Bennett. Can I begin by getting your reaction? How did you feel? What were you thinking when you watched this 7.5-minute video come out from the Premier?
I was horrified. It is an unimaginable full-scale assault on the rights of not just trans and gender diverse youth, but to us LGBTQI Canadians in general. And it appears to be a state-sponsored attempt to eradicate us from existence. And I realize the language I'm using is dramatic, but we can talk about why that's the case.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're saying a full-scale assault. Can you elaborate, expand on that?
Sure. So a lot of the attention, importantly, is focusing on gender-affirming care. But as people may have also noticed, their now education curriculum dealing with sexual orientation or gender identity requires parental opt-in and provincial level approval before it's discussed. So let's think about what that means for a young person who has queer parents and it is unable to have their family life recognized, discussed at all in an age-appropriate way throughout their schooling system without people choosing to opt into that conversation. The stigmatizing nature of that, the attempt to erase the diversity of all Canadians is horrifying. Premier Smith talks about wanting all young people to be able to grow up, to be able to navigate their lives and, have time to make decisions for themselves. And we at EGAL and the organizations we're working with believe that that has to be true for all youth, which includes queer and trans youth. They have a right to grow up seeing themselves reflected in society with support and affirmation. And that's, just one of the policies that Premier Smith has committed to.
And it sounds like she's saying, the Premier, what others who share that belief feel as well, that much of this is being put on kids when they're too young to really know that they go through hormonal changes. They're questioning the identity, who they are. That's part of the process of growing up. So we should just put the brakes on this. How do you respond to that?
Well, hopefully we'll have time in the coming days to spend time talking about each of these policy proposals and why they're flawed. But in general, all of them run counter to expert evidence on how each of these topics should be handled. So for medical care in particular, what Smith is talking about is interfering with the decisions of medical experts, medical professionals, the best practices internationally and in Canada on how to support young people navigating their identity, again, in an individualized, medically necessary and often life-saving way. We're talking about young people in terms of pronouns being able to have their identities affirmed as they are figuring out who they are. We're talking about sometimes young people who don't have the benefit of supportive families. And this broad measures remove the discretion of professionals and experts across society to support some of the most vulnerable members of our community.
One of the items that she mentioned was a ban of athletes, transgender athletes, from sporting competitions. Can you address that and the impact of that will have
Sure.
on young people?
Yeah, all of this just really traffics in misinformation. When we think about sports for young people, sure, of course, competitiveness is a factor, but we're also talking about the ability to find community development, develop, skills of teamwork, confidence, health promotion, all of these other benefits that are being denied to gender diverse youth for seemingly no reason. Again, there is no evidence to support this. These are constructed quote unquote solutions to a problem that doesn't exist. We're just penalizing, again, some of the most marginalized members of our community and denying them the opportunity to participate in an extracurricular activity.
So can we talk about legal challenges? What would that look like? Is that against a part of this proposal or part of this package of proposals, or is it across the board?
So we'll learn more today when we see the specific mechanisms that Premier Smith will be using to implement each of those policies, and that will dictate the specific legal challenges that will result. But it's safe to say that much, if not most, of what she has proposed is blatantly unconstitutional and violates a series of rights of young people and likely others in the province. So we'll have more details about the specific legal challenges once we see whether we're working with policies, legislation, et cetera.
Unconstitutional how, Bennett?
So if we look at just the pronoun policies as one example, because that's, as you referenced, already being litigated across the country, this is a violation of the rights to equality protected by Section 15 of the Charter, the rights to security of the person under Section 7 of the Charter, the right to be free from cruel and unusual treatment under Section 12 of the Charter, as well as other provisions. And that's just the pronoun piece. That's not even the denial of medically necessary treatment.
Bennett, thank you so much for speaking with us this morning. We really appreciate it. Bennett Jensen is co-counsel for UR Pride and Director of Legal at Egal Canada. I'm sure we'll be talking with you again in the future. Appreciate it.